Anoki was reminded of his past. As long as he knew about himself, he had been a weak person who was always bullied and forced to be an errand boy in elementary and middle school, facing hardships all the time. But currently, all those things were nothing because he had attracted the attention of someone who was scarier. Upon thinking about all that, he got to his house, saying not to be out there. Just as he saw Tora, who told him that the day was a good day. He thought that he already knew she was there. Tora asked him what made him show the long face, and he answered that it was nothing. Then, they both greeted each other. Anoki thought that Tora was the top delinquent of his school, and he had to face problems because of her. Tora then grabbed the hoodie of Anoki and, by dragging, said, "Let's go." Anoki thought that it was morning, and she was already dragging him around. That was a delinquent for her, and that was all started when he was called by her one day. Tora told Anoki to be hers. He replied to her to wait for a second. She then asked what his answer was. The face of Tora was so weird that Anoki got scared of her. He thought that it all started from the time when he became her property. Becoming the exclusive errand boy right after the entry ceremony was way too much bad luck. And he didn't know what Tora was thinking at all. Going to school together, as couples do, Tora reminded him that she confessed to him since she didn't have anything to lose. He didn't think that would work, and it was right that Anoki was her friend. Anoki thought that she was laughing for some reason, and he was scared, wondering what she was planning to do to him. Tora wondered what else they could do as they were a couple, like handmade lunch boxes, so she questioned him about fried cutlets. Anoki wondered about that and thought if he did something to piss her off that much. He wished for someone to come to calm Tora down and save him. As they were going on the road, some girls approached Tora and said that they came to return the favor from last time. Since she seemed to be alone, it was their chance. Anoki wondered why they came just then. Tora threw Anoki at some distance and told him to stay there. She would finish it in 3 minutes. She defeated 2 of them quickly and held the third one. Anoki thought that they all didn't last for 3 seconds. The other girl said that they heard Tora had been hanging out with a wimp lately, so they thought she had gone soft, asking if she got a boyfriend and quit being a delinquent. Anoki was shocked to hear that, thinking that if they said that to her, she was going to flip out. Tora responded that they might not understand. But even so, she liked those things. Anoki wondered if she liked such fights, finding delinquents scary. So he called her and approached, suggesting not to love. Then, he grabbed her face and asked if she could close her eyes for a while. Tora questioned what he was doing, seemingly willing for him to kiss her. Instead, he wiped her face and, apologizing, said he wanted to clean the dirt. He asked if she was okay. He realized that since he used to polish people's shoes, those habits stayed with him, and she would definitely kill him. On the other side, Tora thought he was so gentle, and she loved him. She felt the need to thank him, believing that in such times, one had to look into their eyes and say thank you. She tried hard and thanked him. He turned his face and apologized for getting carried away. She thought that she was finally able to thank him with a smile. The scene shifts to the school's lunch break. Anoki was scared that Tora would come that day as well. As he came outside of the class, she indeed arrived and mentioned that it was lunch break. He agreed with her and said that it seemed so. She asked if he wasn't supposed to say something other than it seems. He replied that he knew she wanted yakisoba pan. She denied that. He asked if she wanted onigiri or anything else, and she replied that it had nothing to do with errands. All the other students were looking at them and chattering. Anoki asked her if he was wrong, and she replied that he wouldn't get it unless she showed him, so let's go to the roof. He thought that it was worse. They got there, and Tora commented that the weather was nice. He agreed with her and wondered why she brought him there and what she was planning to do. She thought that it was a nice day to have lunch together as a couple, like a picnic on the roof that couples were willing to do. But she wondered if he would eat that because she made it for the first time. She then called him and said that she wanted to repay him for all he had done for her so far. Anoki got scared to hear that. She just told him to take it and enjoy. Anoki was so scared that he turned his face, closed his eyes, and, apologizing, asked her to spare him. He realized that she provided him a lunch box, so he questioned her about that. She replied that it was for him, so just eat it, or didn't he want that? He replied that he did, and as he opened the lunch box, he realized that almost all the contents were meat. By eating, he thought he could understand her calling him there, but he wondered why she gave him a lunch box, so he just called her. She asked if he wasn't hungry or if the taste was bad. He replied that it wasn't like that, but he wanted to ask why she made that for him. She thought that she wanted to prepare a delicious meal for him and eat it together with him. She replied that she couldn't let him die, and she wanted them both to be happy forever. Anoki wondered if he was going to be sacrificed or something else. Did delinquents perform rituals like that too? Either way, it seemed that the lifestyle wouldn't end anytime soon. Tora asked him if that was good. He agreed and said that it was the first time he got a lunchbox from someone else, thanking her for that. She just hid her face, and he wondered if she was in a bad mood. Since she wasn't saying anything, he wondered what he should say or do. He then said that he would prepare a lunchbox for her next time. Tora asked what he would prepare. He agreed if she didn't mind, as he cooked all the time. Tora thought that he was the domestic type, meaning she could eat the lunchbox made by him, and they would have lunch together again. Anoki thought that since he was always a victim of extortion, he had no choice but to make his own lunch. On another day, she came to him during the lunch break. He told her that he made her a lunchbox. As he opened the lunch, he realized that he brought the one he made for his little sister instead of Tora by mistake. Tora wondered about that and thought about how caring he was. On another day, a lot of people greeted Tora, and one girl thanked her for the hard work of that day as well. Tora greeted them too. Yuniko thought that a lot of people had been greeting them when he was with Tora, and then he asked Tora who those people were. She replied that she didn't have any idea about that. Those people got surprised to hear that. Tora said it had been like that ever since she became Banfu, and around 90% of people were strangers, but she didn't hate them. He questioned if that was so. Then they kept walking, and Tora felt like they were walking to their wedding ceremony. She said that she had never seen him with someone else. He replied that it was because he had always been bullied, so that's why he didn't have any friends or a girlfriend, and that was also the reason he was always free. Tora thought that she was his first girlfriend. He wondered why she looked satisfied. Tora thought that if he was free most of the time, doesn't that mean they could go on dates whenever they wanted? Tora then suggested going out after school. He stopped her and, by apologizing, said that he had something to do after school. She seemed angry and asked if he didn't tell her earlier that he was free. He apologized again and said that something came up. Tora asked if he had to choose between her being important or something else. He answered that it was something he had to do as a committee member, but he would try to finish that as quickly as he could. Tora then suggested providing her help to him. Yuniko then took her to the place where he was playing with rabbits. Tora asked if that was why he had to go. He agreed and said that he was a member of the breeding committee, and the animals were nice and cute. She thought that he was ignoring her for that thing, and now he was spending time with it, and she hadn't even hugged him yet. He then called to her and asked if she knew how to deal with animals. She replied that not really, and they just run away. Yuniko suggested letting him help her and asked if she wanted to hug that rabbit. She denied that, but he still forced her to do it and told her to first place her hands on the animal as he was doing it by her hand. She seemed scared and thought it was too close. Yuniko said to Tora to just look that the rabbit was not running away. Tora then took the rabbit in her hands. She thought that she didn't hate it, but she didn't like them either. However, since it was something that the person she loved enjoyed, and for some reason, he saw that as something special, and that wasn't bad at all. Anoko said that he was glad. Yuniko thought how he didn't know that Tora could smile like that, and she always had an intense aura around her, but she had a good heart. She just said that she could eat that up. Yuniko thought that she was carnivorous as well. Tora asked if there wasn't something else, like something cute enough that she could eat up. He replied that there wasn't anything. She then asked about him. The scene shifted to the locker area of the school, and there, a girl wrote a letter for him and placed it in the locker, saying that she wondered if he would come. A lady asked Matsuri if she was sure about that. Matsuri replied that it couldn't be helped because she was in love with him, and she couldn't give up on him. Yuniko and Tora saw that letter in the locker. Tora questioned, "What's that letter?" Tora replied, "It looks like it, but what was that doing inside his shoe rack?" They read it and realized it could be a letter of misfortune or a challenge. Tora questioned, why did he get such a type of letter? He replied that it was normal for him, and he used to get letters like that in the past. She asked if he was serious about that and if he wanted her to go with him. He denied and said that he could handle that on his own. She then suggested just breaking a leg there. She thought of the possibility that if the sender of the letter was a girl, was it fine to let him go by himself? She thought she should just go to check because she was his girlfriend after all. He arrived, and Matsuri said, "So, you came." Anoki asked if she was the sender of that letter. She agreed and asked if he read it. He asked how many people should he send that out to. She asked why he wanted to do that. He replied that it was because the letter was of misfortune. She denied and said that if that was a letter of misfortune, why should she call him there? And that was a love letter sent with that intention. He got surprised to hear that. She asked the reason for that. He thought of the love letter, and she had been through that already. He said that she was forced to confess to a loser in the penalty game. Matsuri asked if he wasn't suspecting too much, and that was not the case. She sent him that letter because she wanted to. And it was written on the letter that she had always been watching him, and even if he misunderstood her, she was glad that he came because that was convenient for her either way. He got scared, thinking it was a trap, and was going to run away from there. Matsuki called out Yutaka, and Yutaka blocked the way for Anoki. Yutaka apologized to him because she couldn't disobey Matsuri. Matsuri said that it was a poor thing that he was trapped and asked if he was really losing to a spineless wimp like that. He said, "Are you kidding me?" and thought of someone to come to help him. Tora arrived, saying that it was enough, and Matsuri sure had some nerve to lay a hand on the property of Tora. Matsuri got excited to see Tora there and hugged her, saying that she was so happy. Tora told her to get away. Anoki thought, was she an acquaintance of Tora? Tora said to Matsuri that she was the one who wrote the letter, and she should at least have written her name down. Matsuri asked if that was necessary. Well, if Tora said so. Tora told Yutaka too, saying not to let Matsuri do as she pleased. Yutaka apologized and said that she tried to stop Matsuri, but she wouldn't listen. Matsuri said that she was the number 2 of that place, only second to Tora. Yutaka corrected her, stating that she was the number 3. Matsuri argued that when the 3 of them were together, they were unstoppable, so she considered Anoki as the loser and told him to remember that. Yutaka commented that such an introduction was embarrassing. Matsuri insisted that it was not. Tora mentioned that they were her underlings, or at least that's what those fools thought. Then she asked Matsuri why she laid her hand on Tora's boyfriend and if she wanted to die. Matsuri replied that it was because Tora wasn't paying any attention to them. She explained that Matsuri was the right hand, and she didn't want to lose her position to him, so that's why she was testing him. Yutaka added, in different words, that if he couldn't defeat her, he wasn't fit for the role and wouldn't listen to reason. Anoki said to wait and that there might be a misunderstanding. Matsuri told him to shut up, stating that even though her plan was perfect, he ruined it. She told him to put himself in Yutaka's shoes, who wrote that love letter. Yutaka told Matsuri that she had told her not to mention that thing. Matsuri replied that it was well written and asked if there was someone she liked, and Yutaka was blushing. Yutaka then hit Matsuri's leg and apologized to them for the trouble she caused. Tora replied that it was no problem, but to make sure to throw Matsuri away. After that, Yutaka, by dragging Matsuri with her, said that they both were leaving from there. Matsuri asked Yutaka why she was mad at her. Yutaka replied that Matsuri would pay for that, and then they left. Tora explained to Anoki that Matsuri thought Anoki was Tora's right hand. Anoki then understood the reason for all that happened there and thought that she got it all wrong. One time, Matsuri stood in front of Anoki, and he was on his knees. Yutaka asked Matsuri whether she had learned the lesson yet, and if she wanted to die. Matsuri replied that she couldn't accept that. Anoki thought that he wanted to go back to his home. Yutaka asked Matsuri what she couldn't accept. Matsuri answered that Sir was talking smoothly about Anoki being the right hand of Tora and not Matsuri. She was more useful compared to him and loved him a lot, and that made her feel gloomy, weak, and good for nothing, and she was cold to her. Tora replied that it was because Matsuri was annoying. Anoki thought that she didn't hold back, but that couldn't be helped, though he was actually Tora's errand boy. She left her talk and, on top of being mistaken, dared to insult her boyfriend. Then she said to Matsuri that she was misunderstanding something and she would never lose to Anoki. She asked Matsuri what was so good about Anoki. Tora replied, what did Matsuri say? If she dares to say that, why doesn't she go and check Anoki's strength by herself? Matsuri told Tora to leave that to her, and she would prove to Tora that Matsuri was more suitable to be Tora's right hand. Tora said to just do that under one condition. Matsuri asked about the condition. Tora answered not to worry, and it was actually something very simple. If Matsuri talked to Tora face to face for more than 10 minutes, got too close, leered at him, or laid a hand on him even a little bit, she would kill Matsuri. Matsuri replied that she wouldn't do anything like that. Then she went to Anoki and asked what he could do for Tora. Anoki replied that he made her a lunch box. Matsuri was shocked and asked Tora why she didn't eat the lunch box she made for her. Tora said that Matsuri meant the multi-tiered lunch box she made after waking up at 4:30, as if she would eat that. She thought it had been a lot. Matsuri said that there must be something else. Anoki said that he could carry things, clean, and buy things. He could go to the convenience store and come back in 2 minutes. Matsuri asked if he wasn't just an errand boy. Anoki replied that, as a matter of fact, he was an errand boy. Matsuri asked what he did to make Tora like his lunch box. He replied that he didn't know and seriously wondered why Tora picked him. Then she grabbed his collar and said that he should at least look her in the eyes when she talked to him and stop being such a wuss. She reminded him of Tora's words, so she asked Tora why she was so overprotective of him. The more she heard, the less she understood. Matsuri wondered why Tora liked him so much and had a great idea. She kicked Anoki and asked why they didn't make him their shared errand boy, which would make him useful. Just then, Tora called out to Matsuri. Matsuri replied that it was fine, and she hadn't laid a hand on him, it was just a foot. Tora told her to spare her the sophism. Anoki wondered why she picked him in particular. Someone as strong as her could make anyone her gopher. She was really strong and scary, but he didn't think she was a bad person. She seemed to desire something, and she might be accustomed to being used by others, but if that was going to be the case, he would rather be with Tora. She didn't want anyone else, and it seemed like she considered him her property. Doing things for two people at once probably wouldn't sit well with Tora. Matsuri said that he had some backbone, and if Tora chose him, she guessed that was how it was going to be. Anoki thought that he dodged that bullet, and the feelings he expressed seemed to come out as a confession. Matsuri asked Tora if that was right. Tora felt somewhat embarrassed, and then Matsuri asked what was wrong with Tora and urged her to say something. Tora stammered that Anoki was strong. Matsuri questioned what he did, thinking that Anoki couldn't be taken lightly and was probably upset. She wondered what he was going to do. Matsuri told him to come to his senses, and then she apologized to Tora. Yutaka thought that perhaps they were all misunderstanding things. Tora was probably in love with Anoki, and Matsuri had yet to realize that. Yutaka wondered what kind of idiots had to gather up to create such a troublesome situation. Someone asked Anoki if he heard the rumor about Toma, mentioning that she seemed very upset that morning. The rumor was that Tora beat up some delinquents who came looking for a fight, and Anoki acknowledged it. Tora commented that it was scary, and she advised him to stay away from her if he was an ordinary person. Anoki was shocked that she was angry and realized that this was probably why Sue didn't come to pick him up that morning. He wondered if she was still upset about what he said the previous day. Just then, Tora appeared and mentioned that she found him since he wasn't in the classroom. Anoki apologized to her, and Tora asked if everything was all right. Anoki was puzzled about the reference to a bad mood and asked what she was talking about. Tora clarified that she was feeling amazing, though it didn't look like it. She continued that as if no one could stop her, that was how she felt. Anoki said that it was good to know. She then grabbed his collar and suggested that they go to the rooftop. He was surprised and mentioned that the next lesson was about to start. Tora said to just skip the class for that time, as she wanted them both to be alone, not wanting to show that face to anyone. Anoki wondered what kind of face she was making at that time. They got on the roof, and Tora thought she was so happy. She would rather be with Anoki, and he thought the same way as she did. As she thought, at that time, she was the strongest. Anoki wondered why she was swinging that way. Since they loved each other so much, that meant they could move to the next level. Just then, she called out to him. Being surprised, he replied. Tora then asked what kind of grave he would like. He thought that she was going to kill him. Then he told her to wait and asked if she didn't think it was way too soon for that. She replied that he might think so, but it was going to be fine sooner or later. He thought that there was no escaping that. Tora then asked him about the wedding ceremony. He was surprised to hear that and replied that it was too soon for that as well. He was still a teenager. Also, he would like to wait a bit more because he thought there were many things they could figure out before that. She thought he was earnest about something couples do to go to the next level, and then she thought of kissing. But she denied that because going that far wasn't good. They could also hold arms and go on dates, but she wasn't sure which came first, kissing or going on a date. Anoki thought that she stopped talking, and he always tried not to make Tora angry, but ended up doing that anyway. He wondered how he could make her forgive him. Then he said that if there was something he could do for her, just say that, and he would do anything for her. She wondered about anything, and he agreed. He thought that maybe he shouldn't have said that, but she seemed really angry. She thought of something, and he asked what's that. She replied that everything was getting swollen and sticky, and he realized she meant kissing her or something. He asked what that meant. She explained that everything was getting swollen and sticky, and he should just understand that they couldn't do that yet. He thought that he had no idea what she was getting mad about. Matsuri asked Tora if that wasn't right, so let's have a race to see who was faster in making a round trip in the hallway. Tora asked if Matsuri thought she could beat Tora. Matsuri said they wouldn't know until they tried that. Tora suggested, so let's do that. Anoki wondered how things had gone like that. Tora then saw Anoki with a swiper and asked what he was doing. Anoki replied that he was on his cleaning duty for that day. She questioned if that was real and what a coincidence that she had just finished cleaning trash that came at her and they were the same. She thought she came to pick him up because she wanted to go home together and it seemed like that would take time. Then she said, let's do that, and she changed her swiper, saying, let's get that over with. Anoki thought she had changed her weapon. Tora questioned where she should begin. He was surprised and asked if she was going to help him. As she agreed, he replied that he couldn't let her do that. She said that she could clean too. Anoki wondered what she would have to do later to repay the debt if he let her help him. He questioned why she would do that. She replied that she was going to do that because she wanted to, so don't worry about it. She thought she heard somewhere that couples share their work. On the other side, Anoki thought that maybe she was a clean freak. Tora reassured her not to worry, and help was on the way. Just then, Matsuri came by calling Tora and offered to go on a date after school. Tora replied that Matsuri couldn't have come at a better time. Matsuri asked if she was helpful, and Tora agreed with that. Matsuri then called Anoki the small fry and said that whoever wanted to go inside the incinerator along with that bag should take a step forward. Some boys came, and upon seeing them, one said that Matsuri was from the 3rd year, so why was she cleaning? She shouted at them to get out of there. Then, she urged Tora to start cleaning. Anoki wondered if it was fine to let them do that, but they really seemed to be helping him in that. Matsuri said to Tora that she had gotten rid of all the trash on her side, so how come she was still there? Tora replied that it was awful. Matsuri asked if Tora just doubted their ability to clean in his mind. Tora replied that she didn't. Then, Matsuri said that if it weren't for Tora, she wouldn't be doing that, but whether they believed it or not, they were good at cleaning. Anoki asked if that was for real. Matsuri reported that the one there had been known as the bloodstained cleaner for a long time, so did he want her to clean him? Tora told Matsuri not to take the joke too far. Matsuri replied that she knew. Anoki wondered if that was really a joke and maybe that was a bad idea after all, as he got to change the water in the bucket. Utara came and said that she would do that, and physical work was her forte. Anoki denied and said that it was fine, and he would do that. Utara suggested that if they split the work, it would be faster. Anoki said that he would leave that to her. Utara then asked Anoki what he thought of Tora. Anoki replied that, according to him, Tora was a wonderful person who was good for the role of Tora. Utara told him to calm down because that wasn't an inquisition. She thought that she knew he was always afraid of her, and both of them were misunderstanding things. She then said to just listen, and it was true that her behavior was not very good, but she wasn't a bad person, so don't be too wary around Tora and Matsuri. Anoki asked if Utara liked them. She got shocked and asked what he was saying. He was wrong, and she felt respect towards them. And then the bucket of water in the swiper fell there. Anoki apologized and asked if she was fine. Tora replied, "What are you doing?" Matsuri said that Utaka was Matsuri's best friend, and that was finally over. Come to think of that, they cleaned more than they had to, practically the whole floor, and also for some reason, Utaka was beyond recovery. Utaka told Matsuri to shut up. Anoki thanked them for their help and thanked Tora as well. Tora was happy to see the smile on Anoki's face. Anoki said that he would make sure to return the favor later. In reality, the other people who were in the future pushed all the work on him and went home, so he was kind of in a pinch. Then, Tora called out to Matsuri and Utaka and said to just follow her. They were going to wipe the floor with those wretches. Matsuri was happy and questioned if Tora meant the type of closing they were good at. Anoki said to only worry about that, and that happened all the time. Tora asked if that was so and just forget what she told. They wouldn't leave even a speck of dust. He said to just listen to him. One day, Anoki asked Tora if she was thirsty, and he brought her a drink. Tora thanked him for that. Then, Anoki asked her to let him carry that lunchbox for her, and he also made her a lunchbox. She thought that on that day, Anoki was taking the initiative. She calmed down and wondered if he was doing the totally reverse of the regular, and she loved him a lot. He got scared of her just asking if she was fine. She replied to not mind that. She thought about whether she was popular, but no, they were going out, so she guessed that was normal, and she didn't know. But that change was sudden. Anoki told her that her forehead was getting red, and he would go damp the handkerchief. She felt embarrassed and wondered what was going on that day. She felt like she was going to die, and Anoki was the killer. But she didn't really mind since she was happy. She then sat there and thought that wasn't that going too far, so she asked what he was after. He replied, "Did I do anything wrong?" And then he asked if she wanted anything. She denied that, and he asked if she wanted him to get her a yakisoba pan, and he would bring that in just 2 minutes. She told him to calm down and she didn't want anything. She questioned if there was anything he was eager to talk to her about, and if there was, just tell her. Anoki explained that on that same morning, when he went to the restroom, he looked at himself in the mirror and got scared. And there wasn't any scar or bruise on his face. Ever since he became her gopher, no one had ever hit him or made him do errands, and the most that happened to him was a slight kick to the chin by Matsuri. Tora was surprised and wondered if he was worrying about that and if that was what he liked, and he wasn't Matsuri. Anoki said that since she wasn't relying much on him, he found himself useless, and a person like him could only be useful to others. That's why he was a bit worried, and it had been like that for a long time, so she shouldn't hold back, as he was used to that. Tora just told him to get up, and she hit him on the head. He felt pain, and then Tora said that now he was back to his senses. She didn't know what kind of person he was in the past, and even if he told her, there wasn't anything she could do about it. But at that time, he was her boyfriend, so he should stop reminding her of his past, or she would get jealous. Then she asked if he understood. He agreed and asked her to spare him the jealousy. She refused to do that. Anoki sat at his desk and thought that in the end, what did Tora want him to do for her? He didn't have any idea what she wanted, and he had been doing all the things he could for her as an errand. And in a way, she felt different from the rest, and he thought of something, then denied it, realizing it was just his wishful thinking. He wondered what he was to Tora, and he didn't know. Matsuri said to Tora that she seemed in high spirits. Tora replied that it was because she was in love. Matsuri inquired about who that person was. Anoki thought that he had been wrong all along about Tora's anger and bad mood, and that it might actually be the other way around. And that was what he had been thinking. Then he got to call Tora. She seemed like she was in a very bad mood and asked what he had. Anoki sat there, asking if something had happened and if there was anything he could do for her. She denied and thanked him, and said that at that time, she despised everything in the world, other people, every living being. She thought, was her mood that bad? Tora denied and said that she just thought she was disappointed and there was something even she couldn't defeat. Anoki wondered about what Tora couldn't defeat. Anoki asked Tora if a monster had come back to life. She asked what made him say that. He said was it an alien or anything else? Tora replied that he sure had to fantasize. He questioned whether she had lost in any fight, and as if that would happen, he was so angry that he crushed even more people than usual. Tora replied that she was currently in a bad mood. He thought that she didn't say that, but rather than being in a bad mood, that seemed more like she was worried. He then called to her, but she just turned her face around. Anoki said that if something was troubling her, he would like her to talk to him about that, and he won't be of much help, but did the same for him. She replied that he would probably think it was something stupid, but that was fine and she would tell him. She then told that her height was the same. He questioned whether they had the physical examination that day. She agreed, and Anoki said that he really was looking forward to that. Tora said that she didn't get any taller, not even an inch, and just why the hell did he think she was wearing heels? He thought that she was wearing them to look taller. She said that she knew there was nothing she could do about that. But even so, that pissed her off, and she envied him for being so tall. Anoki said that he didn't think he was that tall. He thought, why did she worry about stuff like that too, and how unexpectedly tough that would be rude to say out loud. Tora said she wasn't thinking something like, so that's what's troubling that shrimp. He swore that he was not, but if he were honest, he thought she was fine and she was that time. She just stopped there. Anoki asked if he said something wrong. She denied and said that if that's what he thinks, staying like that doesn't sound too bad. She thought that he loved her as she was, and she loved him too. Anoki thought, what was that? But wait, at that rate, he will die, and he thought to calm down. Matsuri came by, saying there was no way that Tora was worried about. By hugging Tora, Matsuri said that she should have told her. Tora told her to just shut up and get out of her. Yutaka apologized for interrupting them. Anoki said not to worry about that. Tora said that with them two there, she looked even smaller, so just go away from there. Yutaka said that she would have preferred to be a bit smaller. Matsuri questioned smaller where. Tora told her to stop saying such things. Matsuri said that she thought Tora was fine like that, and she was small, cute, and very strong, and she was the best, so don't worry because she didn't care about Tora. And height doesn't determine who they were. Tora got angry and, by hitting Matsuri, told her to just shrink and die. Anoki thought that even if Tora ends up being a kind person, he will never bring up that topic in front of her. And that was what he vowed. One day, there was heavy rain in the city, and Anoki thought that Tora wasn't going to pick him up. She came to his apartment almost daily, but when he thought that, it felt lonely. Just then, Tora arrived and greeted him, completely wet from the rain. Anoki was shocked to see her and inquired about where her umbrella was. She replied that she wasn't going to use that thing because she didn't like it. Anoki thought, was that her reason? And then he offered his umbrella for her to use. She replied that she was fine and a bit of rain wouldn't kill her, so let's go. She grabbed his hand, taking him away from there. Anoki told her to wait for that. And then they got to Matsuri, and Matsuri said that so that was the only reason they came there all wet. She used a hairdryer to dry Tora and said that with it, Tora would be fine. Then she asked if Tora wanted her to dry her hair as well. Tora denied that. Yutaka came and asked why Tora didn't like umbrellas. Tora replied that it was because umbrellas blocked her hands and had a short range. Anoki came there, saying to Tora that he brought her a warm drink. Tora told Yutaka that umbrellas weren't strong enough, so they break easily. Matsuri asked if Tora could just shut someone with a disposable one. Yutaka said to Matsuri that what if there was more than one person. Anoki thought that it was a berserk girl's talk, and then he said that it wasn't a problem, and the problem was that Tora was getting a cold. Tora retorted that so that's what he was worried about. He replied that she was right. Tora thought that he was a very good person. Anoki thought that he couldn't imagine her in a weak state. Tora said that she didn't have any cough, so why was he worried about her? Matsuri then said that she too had never caught a cold in her whole life. Yutaka questioned if that wasn't because Matsuri was stupid. Matsuri asked what she was telling. Anoki said to Tora that if she had mentioned it earlier, it was bad to let her body chill for a long time, and if she didn't mind, he could lend her his umbrella after school. Tora replied that she was already used to getting wet, so just don't worry about her. Matsuri was shocked to hear that and said that Tora used to too many depressing things. Tora said to Anoki that if he took that, he wouldn't get wet. Anoki replied not to worry about him. Matsuri asked Tora if she wanted to escort her home. Yutaka excused herself and suggested that they let Anoki hold the umbrella while walking under it. So how was that? Anoki and Tora did so, and he was holding the umbrella. Tora thought that this way she could use both hands. Anoki thought that this way Tora wouldn't get wet, and Yutaka was amazing. But then they realized that they were sharing the same umbrella. Tora thought that Yutaka did that for her, and she was thankful for that. Tora thought that Matsuri didn't know what to talk about. Just then, Anoki called her. Being embarrassed, she asked, "What's that?" Anoki asked if her shoulder was getting wet. She denied, and then he said to let him know if that happened. She then said that Anoki picked up a cat on a day like that in April. He agreed and questioned how she knew that. She replied that she saw it and then went to see him the following days. Anoki said that he had been wondering the reason she chose him for a while, and could that be the reason she chose him? She replied that he not only met her expectations but also surpassed them, and she was glad that she chose him. Anoki thought that she was probably glad that he was a good-natured easy prey, but even so, wasn't that a reason to fall in love? She just called to him and said that they were already in front of Anoki's house. He was surprised and then noted that doesn't that make him the one being escorted. Tora asked him what was wrong. He replied that it was nothing. And then Tora said, "Let's meet next day." Anoki agreed and told her to take his umbrella. She replied not to worry because she would run the rest of her way home. Anoki thought, what was the point of all that? Tora thought that the umbrella was still useless unless she shared that with Anoki. Anoki was about to say something, but he hesitated, and finally, he asked if she didn't mind, would she like to come to his house? Tora was shocked to hear that word. Tora went inside, thinking that danger was the thing that came without knowing, and that was the situation with her. Anoki brought tea and offered it to her. He then noticed that she was on guard for some reason, so he asked if anything was wrong. She denied and said that she just wondered what type of trap that was. Anoki wondered about the trap and said that he wasn't plotting anything, so she could relax. She said that was so, and she thought that it was right, there was an order to those things, and Anoki wouldn't do anything like that. He probably wouldn't, and that was too soon. Anoki thought that he knew she wasn't trusting him at all. Then he said that it seemed like the rain would stop soon, so she could take shelter there until the rain stopped. She was happy and thought that she knew he was a gentleman, and then she agreed. Anoki thought that it was right, they were not doing anything weird, and they were only talking normally. A silence fell between them, and they both realized that they weren't talking. Tora tried to think of something to talk about and wondered if they always talked about anything. Anoki thought that it was so awkward, and did he get too familiar with her? They both wondered what the other was thinking. Suddenly, a cat appeared, and they both were surprised to see it. Tora wondered if it was an enemy. Anoki replied that it wasn't, and she shouldn't do that. Then Tora saw the cat and asked if it was the same cat Anoki picked up earlier. He agreed, apologized for that, and said that it was a bit mischievous. Tora moved her hand towards the cat, but it scratched her and ran away. Anoki apologized to her and asked if she got hurt. She replied that she was fine, and then he asked if she was sure. She insisted that, as she said, she was fine. Anoki said that he would scold the cat later, and he felt that he was too close to her. The cat hit the back of Anoki, causing him to fall, and he screamed loudly. He then apologized to Tora and said that he would watch his things. She just grabbed his collar and said that if that's what he wanted, then bring it on. As they were about to do that, someone rang the bell. Tora let go of Anoki, and he apologized, saying that he would go get that. She agreed with that, and he left. Tora thought about whether she should consider it good luck or bad luck that she interrupted them. Anoki also thought about what he would do, feeling like he would die. If what happened on the way home wasn't enough, he thought about what if Tora had been in love with him from the start. But even if that were true, hadn't he been extremely rude to her? However, everything made sense when he thought about it, and he should ask her about that. But no, the truth was he didn't know if he should. He was just an errand boy, and Tora's boyfriend should be someone more suitable for her, someone who worries, talks, and is more considerate. Just then, the doorbell rang again, and upon opening the door, Anoki asked who it was. He saw a boy there who said that he came to pick up his sister. Anoki thought that the boy was so huge, and then he questioned who the boy was inquiring about. The boy asked if Kanade was there. Anoki wondered about that person, and when the boy asked him if Tora was there, Anoki agreed and said to just come in. The boy apologized for intruding. Anoki thought that Kanade might be Toma's first name, and if the boy called her by her first name and came to pick her up, he might be her boyfriend or big brother and lackey. Wasn't he in danger regardless of the result? And Anoki wondered if he could get out of that situation. The boy came into the room and saw Tora lying there. Anoki thought that she was dead, and then he called Tora and said that someone came for her. She wondered about that and said that she was going to die. Anoki said that it wasn't someone she was imagining. The boy asked Tora what he was doing. Tora was shocked to see him there and asked what Tasuku was doing there. Tasuku replied that Tora went to school without an umbrella, so he went to pick her up. However, he didn't find her there, and on his way back home, he heard a shriek coming from that house. So, he thought he would find her there. Tora seemed angry, and by grabbing his collar, she told him to shut up, forget any shriek, and go home. He asked what she was doing there, and she told him to shut up. Then, Anoki asked Tora who Tasuku was. Tora and Tasuku said that he was her little sibling. Anoki was shocked to hear that Tasuku was her little brother. Tasuku mentioned that he was in the 9th grade and then introduced himself, thanking Anoki for taking care of Tora. Anoki thought that if Tasuku was Tora's little brother, does that mean she was a little scary? She was glaring daggers at him. Tasuku asked Anoki what his name was, and Anoki replied that he was Anoki. Just Tasuku asked Anoki if he was Tora's boyfriend. Anoki thought that it was what he wanted to know as well. What does she think of him? Tora asked Tasuku what he was saying, telling him to use his common sense. Tasuku agreed and apologized for that. Anoki thought that she thinks nothing of him. It was a relief to him that he almost got the wrong idea after what she said, and he was ashamed of himself for feeling disillusioned about that. Probably, it was something she said because she thought he was picking a fight with her. Tora thought that, of course, they were a couple and wasn't that obvious. Anoki was a late bloomer, so she didn't ask him that. Anoki thought that it wouldn't be weird if she was angry, and both thinking about that made them want to die. Tora then said to Tasuku that she couldn't bear him anymore, so let's get back home. Anoki asked the reason. Tora replied not to ask and, by opening the door, said, let's meet next day. Anoki agreed and said the same. Tasuku and Tora came outside, and Tasuku remarked that the rain had stopped. Tora mentioned that Anoki had told her it would stop raining. Tasuku then called her and said that he would lend her his favorite book. She asked about the reason, and he replied that it was because he thought she needed it. She replied that she didn't and wouldn't read it. Tasuku said to just flirt more and more. She asked if he enjoyed seeing his relatives for that. Tasuku replied that he didn't give a crap about that at that point and just wanted to enjoy all the love stories in the world. And men were made of sugar and spice too. Tora said that his face looks nothing like his personality, and she wondered why he took after that. He replied that he thought she and he were similar. She insisted that they weren't. Tasuku said that he was rooting for her, so do her best in her first relationship. She replied not to do anything uncalled for. Tasuku said, let's see. The scene shifts to the dodgeball court, and students are playing. Anoki seems exhausted. Tora tells him that it wasn't bad, but he better had to give up because she was going all out. He thinks that he was dead. The scene rewinds to 1 hour ago when Tora came to Anoki, saying it was lunch break. She saw him in a jersey and asked if he had PE. He agreed and said it was in the 5th period. She stared at him, thinking he looked pretty in the jersey too. Anoki wondered why she was staring hard at him and then asked if she attended PE. She replied that she skipped it because she exercised all the time. Anoki commented that she indeed did. Just then, a boy came and mentioned that since the C class had self-study in the 5th period, the teacher said they would be playing dodgeball against them. Tora and Anoki were surprised because Tora was from the C class and Anoki was in the A class. All the students gather there, and the teacher instructs them to make a line. Anoki notices Tora there and asks if she is going to participate as well. She agrees. He questions what made her change her mind suddenly. She replies that it was obvious he was there and assures him not to worry because she won't let anyone else get in their way. He thinks she is going to kill him. The scene returns to the present, and Tora is standing with the ball. Anoki is lying there, thinking that he already knows the power and speed of Tora's ball is so great that it could harm people. Tora comments to him that he's good at surviving, and she's impressed. Anoki thinks that he hates himself for being good at evading. She thinks it's fun that she is alone with Anoki and some bystanders, but no one else is coming near them. If every day could be like that, then she wouldn't mind attending PE. Anoki, looking at Tora, thinks that she seems to be having fun, especially with those two classmates he didn't even know. Two students cheer for Anoki and tell him not to lose to Tora. Tora then passes the ball to him, asking if he wants to throw the ball since all he had been doing was evading her attacks. He says he can't do that. She tells him not to worry and that she will accept anything he throws at her, urging him not to hold back. Anoki replies that he can't do that. Tora asks if it's because she's a girl, and he says it's not like that. She reassures him not to worry about her. Matsuri comes by and asks Anoki what he's doing with Tora. Anoki tells Tora that he's not worried about that, and it would be a lie if he said he wasn't worried, but he really doesn't know the reason himself. He can only do that with her. Besides, he's prepared to lose, so she should just hit him and let's be done with it. She called him and announced that he won. Anoki asks for the reason. Shouldn't that be his loss, and what's wrong with her? She thinks that he couldn't bear to hit her. He was so gentle, and she loves him. Then she says that he is strong. Anoki asks if she didn't mean half fry. A boy comments that Anoki won by default. A girl says that one would be scared shirtless. Another girl wonders if the first girl meant that. The boy questions if they don't think they both seem good together and asks Anoki if he isn't glad. Suddenly, Tora hits the ball to the side wall of the boy and says that they weren't an exhibition. The boy apologizes to her, and she asks if the boy made fun of Anoki, saying they both really seem good together. Anoki tells her she should hit him once. She asks for the reason, and he replies that it's because he is representing his class. One day, Yutaka came to Tora and Anoki and apologized for the interruption, asking if she could have a moment. Tora asked her what had happened and if she was alone. Yutaka replied that, in reality, Matsuri had gone missing. All three of them went to the roof, and while having something to eat, Yutaka said that it wasn't anything serious. But Matsuri hadn't contacted her since they parted ways that morning. So, she thought that maybe Tora would know something about Matsuri. Tora questioned whether Matsuri was with Yutaka that morning. Yutaka agreed and said that on that day, she was going to school with Tora but not Anoki. And then Matsuri ran away somewhere. Tora said that Matsuri was very annoying. But Tora didn't meet Matsuri that morning. Yutaka sighed and said that she wondered where Matsuri had gone. Anoki asked whether they two were always together in the morning. Yutaka replied that she and Matsuri had been living next to each other, and that's why they had been together for a long time, even though they were in different grades, and their relationship was normal. And on one day when Yutaka got to middle school, Matsuri asked her to become Matsuri's trainer from that day and let's become the island's strongest. Yutaka replied to Matsuri that she didn't have any idea what Matsuri was talking about and said that the result was that. Tora said that it was fine to say no when she didn't like something. Yutaka replied that she knew, but how did she say that she didn't like that? Tora said that Yutaka liked to exhibit them. Yutaka denied and said that Matsuri told her to do that. And at that time, Matsuri had Tora too, so she would be fine even if Yutaka wasn't with her. Tora replied that until she had Anoki, she didn't want anyone else. Anoki replied to Tora that he couldn't replace Tatsu-senpai. Tora said not to be modest. Just as Yutaka got a call, she said to let her pick that. She picked, and it was Matsuri asking Yutaka where she was. Yutaka got that it was Matsuri and replied that it would be her question, where Matsuri was. Matsuri replied that she didn't know because she got into a fight and lost her way, so just come to her for picking her up and bring a band-aid. Yutaka said that she was stupid and just sent her location. Matsuri replied that she wasn't stupid. Tora said to Anoki that Yutaka was hopeless without Matsuri. After a while, Yutaka reached near the location and called Matsuri. Matsuri replied that Yutaka came there very fast. As Yutaka saw her, she was in a very bad condition and had a lot of injuries on her body. Matsuri asked Yutaka how she was. Yutaka got angry and hit Matsuri. Matsuri asked for the reason. Yutaka replied that those wounds couldn't be healed by the band-aid and asked what she was doing there. Matsuri replied to not worry, and even though it hurt, she won the battle in the end, so that felt great. Yutaka said that it wasn't any point. Matsuri said that she supposed that she was right, and 5 verses. The first of may have been a bit reckless. Yutaka said that it was more than reckless. Matsuri was sure her brain wasn't working properly. Matsuri asked what she had said. Yutaka asked if Matsuri hadn't gone to pick up Tora and how did things go like that. Matsuri replied that she heard some people bad-mouthing Yutaka, and on the way to pick up Tora, she stopped a group of girls who were talking about Yutaka, and before Matsuri knew it, she was beating the crap out of them. Then Matsuri asked Yutaka if she could cut her some slack. Yutaka said that Matsuri was really an idiot, and asked why she kept saying that. Yutaka got emotional and said that she didn't care what others said about her, but don't do such things from the next time. Matsuri replied that she cared and shouted at Yutaka to just listen. It was true that she loved Tora, and she was small, cute, and strong, and she really wanted to go to school with her. But she also loved her partner, Yutaka, so how couldn't she care about such things? And besides, Matsuri could always take that out on Anoki. Then she thanked Yutaka. Yutaka offered her support to Matsuri to stand and walk and asked if she was fine. Matsuri agreed, and then Yutaka asked what they were saying about her. Matsuri replied that they called Yutaka a pervert, an exhibitionist witch, and goldfish poop, and she shut them up so they wouldn't say that again. Yutaka said that so it was how people saw her. Matsuri said to just ignore them and that it didn't really bother her. Then Matsuri suggested to Yutaka to take her glasses off and open her shirt too. Yutaka asked what Matsuri planned to do. Matsuri said that Yutaka looked better that way, so cool. Yutaka said that if Matsuri said she looked better that way, she didn't care what others thought of her. Matsuri asked if she really said that, and Yutaka mentioned that maybe she did. And it was true that Yutaka looked better that way, so who cares about that, and Matsuri was right after all. Yutaka had her base with her and said to Matsuri that she had to take responsibility for what Matsuri said. Matsuri apologized and said that if they fought there, she would die there, so just forgive her. Tora, walking on the streets, thought that it was time for them to make some kind of progress. They were already a good couple, but she wanted to go a bit further, like holding hands. Tasuku asked her what kind of face she was making. She replied to not disturb her thoughts. Then he asked what she thought he was thinking and if she was wrong. He nailed it after all. Tora asked what made him think that Yumeki and she hadn't held hands yet. He replied that there was no way she had. Tora said that they practically did that every morning on their way to school. Then she remembered those times and admitted that she was wrong. They hadn't. Tasuku said that it was okay and she still had a chance. She replied to not pity her and that she was pissed off. While reading the book, Tasuku mentioned that at that time, he was into love story books. She asked if he always carried that with him. He agreed and suggested that they use a crowd as a pretext while showing a bit of shyness as the trope. In the book, a girl questioned whether they might separate, so could they hold hands. Tasuku said to Tora that it was pretty like that. Tora asked if he was telling her to do that. Tasuku replied that he didn't expect her to. She said that she was going to break his teeth. She then met Anoki, and he asked if she was sure to lay her hands. She stared at his hands and thought that she could not do that after all. But no, she could do that because she was his girlfriend. She slowly moved her hand towards him and just picked his collar, thinking that it was the same as she always did. And didn't Tasuku say something about a crowd? So, if they got to the crowded place, just as they arrived at the school, and there all the other students gave them space and greeted Tora. She thought that those all opened the path, and that wasn't what she wanted at that time, and she wouldn't give up. As she looked at Anoki, he wondered if something had happened again. Tora reminisced about all the things and then took him to the roof of the school building. By sitting there, she thought that it was impossible, and she still had a long way to go. She was so pathetic, and that was the only thing she had never gotten used to, but at that time, even if that was just for a brief moment, she wanted to hold his hand. Anoki asked her if she wanted him to bring something like a drink or anything else. She denied and said that she didn't need anything, and instead, could he give his hand one more time to her? He agreed, and as he gave his hands, she just touched and felt something different, and by removing, she said that for that time, it was the limit, but in the future, it would be the whole thing, so just wait for that. And she made that promise. Then she got something and said that she had work at home, so she had to leave. He agreed and greeted her to have a nice day. She replied to meet him the next day and then left. Anoki thought that even though she didn't take his pinky, she planned to take them all eventually. And she was very fixated on his hands. But if she goes that far, wouldn't that make her a yakuza rather than a delinquent? And still, despite her ridiculous strength, her fingers were unexpectedly delicate. Tora got to Tasuku, who was having the ice cream, and said that she had only the pinky for that time. She replied to shut up, and her order won't allow that. Tasuku told her to just cheer up and that there was always a next time. She scolded him again and said to just eat. Once, Tora was looking around to find Anoki and thought that where did he go, and if he wasn't inside the school building, so that means he was with the animals. She got there and really found him. She tried to call him but just saw that he was talking with the rabbit and said that they were all behaved. And that would be great if Tora was the same as them as well. Tora got angry and thought to calm down, and that wasn't the concern that he was talking about her. Anoki said to the rabbit that Tora always goes wild, Or should he say on a rampage? Tora got that he was talking about her and was wondering what he was thinking about her, but no, that was normal to have complaints. Still, hearing him say her name without honorifics sure feels great, and hearing him talk to himself wasn't that either, and he was complaining. Tora couldn't blame him because they were completely opposite, so maybe she was doing a lot of things he doesn't like subconsciously. She should take that opportunity to hear what he doesn't like, so let's hear all. And after hearing that, she would fix all things she could. If she wasn't able to fix something, she would apologize for that. Anoki said that she always comes at him at full speed and is very strong despite her small size. Anoki feels sorry, and she will hold back from that time. She always let his feelings get the better of her, and she was not small. Anoki said that maybe he was not liked anymore, and Toma probably thinks he was just a good dispenser machine. She thinks that she didn't and thanked him for all the lunch boxes he had given her, and they were delicious daily. And how could that be a feeling like there was not a single good impression about her, and she was sorry for that. And that makes sense. And she didn't hate herself, but she couldn't think of something someone would love about her either, especially if it was a guy as kind as Anoki. Just Anoki stood and said that though he said that, he still loved everything about Tora. Tora just made a sound, and when Anoki heard that, he wondered what that sound was. Just as he saw Tora lying there, he asked her if she was fine and what happened to her. She tried to get up with his support and attempted to say something, but she just fell back down. In the evening, Anoki got home and noticed the cat standing there with a board around her neck, indicating that Tora had broken the plates on the cupboard. He asked Tora if they had gone wild again and told her to behave, mentioning that she sure was mischievous. Anoki thought that he didn't notice before since his sister was the one who named the cat, but it had the same name as Tora from his school. He wondered if Tora was fine and if he took her to the infirmary, but questioned what she was doing there in the first place. He considered 3 situations. Tora was talking to herself, Tora and his cat had the same name, or Tora misunderstood something, and then he got confused. The scene shifts to Tora, who was lying on the bed, and Matsuri told her not to die. Yutaka wondered if something troublesome happened again. Next day, Anoki was with Tora on the school roof, and by kneeling down, he apologized to Tora for the events of the previous day. Tora, being confused, asked him what he was referring to. He replied, apologizing for what had happened the day before. She wondered and asked if he was talking about the confession from the last day. He agreed, and she questioned him if that was something he should apologize for. She was aware of all the things he said the previous day and agreed with him. Anoki thought that she really saw him as an automatic food dispenser. Tora asked him about the reason for making such a face. He thought that he had complained a lot about Tora, so she must be angry. Tora told him that if he had anything to say, like the Lady Day, he should just go straight. Anoki then said that, in reality, he wasn't talking about her the last day. As they knew, his cat's name was also Tora, and the one who came up with the name was his little sister because he was not good at it. He thought there was no ill will behind that, and he was trying to convey that he didn't want Tora to misunderstand what she heard him say the last day because that would be very rude to her. That's why he was clarifying all the misunderstandings and apologizing. Tora asked if he said that all the things were only misunderstandings. He agreed with her. She mentioned taking his personality into account, and she thought it was obvious. Then he called Matsuri and asked her to bring a knife, specifying that it didn't matter what kind, just one that could cut open a stomach. Anoki thought he was in real trouble, and she was going to cut him open for doing something misleading. Matsuri brought a knife and apologized for making Tora wait for that. Yutaka commented that she couldn't believe Matsuri was so stupid that she actually brought one for Tora. Matsuri explained that she took it from the home economics classroom. Tora expressed appreciation and told Matsuri to pass it to her. Yutaka told Tora that she was stupid as well and advised her not to accept it. Then she asked Tora what she was planning to do with it. Matsuri replied that there was nothing else to do but slice Anoki into pieces. Yutaka told Matsuri to shut up. Anoki announced that he was ready to be done with that. Tora asked Anoki if he earlier asked what she was doing with that, so he should come and cut her. All of them were shocked to hear that, and then Matsuri and Yutaka grabbed Tora to prevent her from doing such a thing. Matsuri asked her what she was doing, and Yutaka told her to stop. Tora replied to just leave her alone, and it was so embarrassing that she would be better off dead. Matsuri asked what had happened there.